My primary question when I look at a piece of land isn't what can it provide my cattle, but what does this piece of land need? What can it offer me? What does it need in return?
And that's kind of the pride part of it is we can raise livestock and wildlife.
You have to balance everything. And some years, you're harder on your land than you are other years.
Once that top layer of organic matter is gone, it takes years to gain that 1 inch of organic matter. And building that up over time.
What can we do to help this soil that we've broken down over 150 years? How can we get it back into condition that it's capable of taking care of us?
I am a third-generation rancher near Saguache, Colorado. Growing up on this ranch with a big band of sheep that went from the valley floor and migrated up into the mountains every year. That was a tradition that was 150 years old when I was born. And one day I was sitting on my tractor and I had all these beautiful windrows and they were just ready to bale and I was going to have these perfect green hay bales and as a rain cloud came over the horizon. And I looked at that rain cloud and I just got angry because here I was about to bale this perfect crop of hay and it was going to be ruined by this rainstorm that came. And then after that I thought, well, why did that make me mad? I live in the San Luis Valley. I shouldn't be worried about a rainstorm because they don't happen very often. There is a little universe right here, right in front of our feet, and it's a dung pat that's about, it can't be more than 2 days old because the cow's been in here about 2 days. And
I think the place where soil health then becomes compelling is something like what we experience here on the meadows that George has been caring for since the 1980s, is because he started adopting certain practices that were really attentive to building the water holding capacity of the soil, means that we can get by with less water and still have an incredibly productive meadow.
You think, what can I do to this soil in these native pastures to make them healthier, more productive, more nutritious? That's something that intrigues me, but I don't know what the answer is. One of the things that I've noticed as we start to watch our soil health, plant health is directly influenced. Cattle will have the ability to seek out nutrients that are missing in their diet. So if I can get the productivity up, great, but if I can get the nutritional value up in that grass, the cattle spending time there will tell me that I've done that.
Nature hates monoculture, so the more that you can diversify the plants that you have, the better off you're going to be. And so that's been our goal for the rangeland, is to bring back more of the natives, more of the cool season grasses, which is what had been overgrazed in the past. And we're starting to see success on that. I mean, but it's slow going.
We're going to have to diversify it a little bit. Sometimes it takes 2 or 3 years in our country to get all of these grasses to come up. we get rid of some of this and interseed a little bit of alfalfa or some of these other legumes. And surprisingly, this stuff will survive the drought and come back, which is what's happened here. Really, the amount of forage that's produced on the improved pasture can be managed because you can graze it down and because you know the species of grass and stuff, and you kind of gauge the moisture and it'll come up. So, we want to leave enough forage for wildlife. We have a lot of elk that come down in the fall. We can raise a 500-600 pound calf born in April and shipped in October, and that's a lot of protein. So the cattle grazing, it produces a better environment in the soil. So they tend to kind of dig up the soil and kind of till it a little bit as they go along. Not a lot, not enough to create weed pressure or weeds to sprout, but it actually does some good because it energizes those plants to grow and to be a little healthier and to take advantage of the moisture they have. It's made a huge difference.
We raise grass-fed, grass-finished Highland beef. My dad got them back in the late 1950s. He liked them because they have leaner meat. A cow's natural instinct when it gets shocked is to jump forward rather than turn around and go back. We're trying to train them to go back to the herd, back to the safety zone. The cow icon, and this one is not where she's supposed to be. This shows an error where her collar's not working. Vents is an invisible fence. By using the vents, then we could speed up how fast we're able to improve our rangeland. It would allow us to graze more intensely and better utilize all the pasture.
My wife Kim and I and our 3 boys take care of a herd of mother cows. We finish out our own beef calves. We grow our own feed as much as possible. We do market some organic row crop grains in the form of dry edible beans and organic yellow corn. What we want to do is rely more on the ground itself to regenerate and in the years to come take care of its own crop. We had a spring planted cover crop consisting of spring cowpeas, clover, and vetch mix, seeded back in April, 1st of April, and then terminated prior to planting this corn. Breaking down biomass from that early spring planting is what's feeding this corn crop right now. This corn has had good color all season long, and the ear growth is telling me that it's had more of what it needs. The other huge advantage is the protein content that is going to be added to the pasture when we graze this clover along with the corn stalks. We normally would use supplement tubs, 20% protein tubs when the cows are out here on the corn stalks. We won't have to supplement with this companion crop growing here. These fall planted cover crops interseeded into our cash crop, they'll come back in the spring. That gives us a place to put that early water, which builds the moisture profile in the soil for next year's cash crop. Huge advantages into doing this.
Right now, this is the Alamosa River, and you can see it is dry here, September 22nd, and it's been dry for, I bet you, quite a while this summer, since probably mid-July. Our aquifer is very low. Our levels are very low, and we're trying to increase that with decreased amount of pumping and trying to put some of that snowpack back into our aquifer. But I think it's going to take a lot more time than we anticipate.
Different geographical areas of the country are capable of doing different things. For us, our limiting factor is moisture.
How do we manage our resources with what we have, so that we're not losing it to either wind erosion or even human erosion? And keeping our soil health so that we don't continue growing the sand dunes to keep your water retention in your soils. And you're getting all the water and none of it's running off. You're gaining water.
Taking advantage of this dry place that I live, I realize that I don't really have to put up hay. I can just leave it stored in the field. And I have the technology of electric fence that my grandfather didn't have to allocate so much hay to the cows every day. And they can supply all of the energy to harvest the crop, turn it into manure, and put it right back where it came from. And so I've done that for about 35 years on this piece of ground. And because the water holding capacity of the soil is so great that the amount of organic matter that hangs onto that moisture will last all through the winter and into the middle of next spring.
George and I see the fact that we consider ourselves to be in partnership with the land as well as with the animals. That it's not that we're managing it or we own it or anything, it's really a matter of sort of mutual aid.
Hearing the bird song in the morning, it's that connection to the land. That's what keeps me putting one foot in front of the other. So our hope is to make it sustainable for our kids.
All of these things that are just going to become either more scarce or more expensive or less necessary if your soil is healthy and productive and is able, that you're giving back to it so it can continue to give to you. I think as we find success stories, as we find practices that we can demonstrate really have the capacity to make somebody more financially resilient as well as ecologically resilient, that's a piece of the puzzle.